Welcome back, everybody, to the Pmpl Arabia Full Split 2022. We are into Super Weekend number 3, day 1, and this wonderful tournament is brought to you by the fantastic folks over Oppo. Upgraded performance and upgraded fun. Celebrate your winning spirit with the brand new Oppo Reno 7 Pro 5G, designated smartphone for PUBG Mobile, Middle East, and Africa esports in 2022. As well as that, you can get in game and get yourself the wonderful Grizzly Bear set.
Roar.
Find all of the collection in one lucky draw if you are indeed the lucky one. Monica, what is your bear fact?
What? Oh, this happened again. You put me in quite the spot. Um, okay. Not to be totally stereotypical, but I know another fact about panda bears. So my fact is gonna be about panda bear again. Did you
Okay.
know that most panda bears are always born twins?
Okay, I didn't know that, so that's actually pretty good. What I do know though is that you can, of course, get yourself the Grand Bank Banquet
Banquet.
Banquet.
English
There
is hard.
you go, the banquet. Get the ingredients to make more dishes. Let's share and spread our happiness. As well as that, you can draw for a discount for free every single day, up to 70% off in a group discount. So thank you very much to all the events that are going on, and we are into the fourth game of the day, Monica, all the way over onto the wonderful map of Sanhok.
This is a map that's like a 16th of the size of Erangel in Myanmar, right? It's so small. It's super action packed, and something that we keep seeing time and time again. It is going to be Falcong, and then we have Gike versus Yala.
I wanna see death and destruction, and Sanhok. It seems like GK are not going for bootcamp though. They are changing their drop spot.
Oh, this is very, very interesting. Okay, I really, really thought that it was gonna be Yala the first one to leave it because Gike has all the time in the world, right? But I think maybe Gike puts a little bit more, what is it, pride or a little more pressure on themselves to still stay at that first place spot. So very interesting indeed that they're
So
there and Yala is not.
it's also interesting that they've gone to Rad's drop spot, a team that aren't in this Super Weekend number 3. So I suppose the question is kind of for the finals, presuming Rad still make it in, will GK try and fight Rad for this runes drop, or will they go back to boot camp?
But before we can get into that, though, 90th minute, our team's right at the bottoms against the skyrocketing team of the standings. Salam still coming around, has the 1, try to go for the 2, but just fails on out. So 90th minute saying thank you very much and collecting on this one early game in elimination.
That's fair. They'll take that small victory. But Skyrockets, they have a hell. English Imperium could do it.
Tongue twisters.
They've had a hell of a performance in the first 3 games.
Yes.
56 points they've gathered in the first 3 games. That's an average of nearly 20 points per game.
Yeah. That's really good.
That's really good.
So back over here, though, I did mention, though, these teams, they always seem to fight in Kampong, right? Let's take a real close look at the replay of how that first elimination was found by the likes of Milky Way, this time on Falcon. So both teams, I think they're pretty even in terms of their hot dropping fights in Kampong. So there's still, I mean, at some point they need to shake hands like Yala and Gike did, and somehow somebody needs to decide who's going Kampong and who isn't.
I just find it hilarious that 2 teams are fighting over Kampong, not gonna lie. I get that it can be a decent location to play from because you have pretty clean entry points into a lot of these circles. Priority compound to to get locked down. Maybe because if you go further down south, you're in docks, and that's really not a good place to be in. Up north, Laquai is kind of locked down by the likes of Triple E Sports, so both teams really feel like there's nowhere else to
Mhm.
go. Still, to me, it's weird how they're fighting over.
Nowhere left to go. It's definitely gonna be never alone, stuck behind a rock over here. I mean, at some point, if he's I mean, he had his invisible eye there. Uh-oh, we have Nomi caught with
Ooh.
his pants down, and that's gonna turn the tides. Gonna be even on either side. A 3v3 now, Imperium in Kampong.
Yeah, and we'll know where Neverlone is, so his um solo position is definitely more heavily exposed, and he's unlikely to be able to make an impact in this engagement until the rest of his team do. So even though they've been able to make it an even 3v3 fight, the control is still in the arms of Major Pride. But at the moment, they're going in for kind of solo 1v1 plays. Milky Way FPP mode, Free Fire is in, but he's going to get dropped down to his
Oh,
knees by Yusef. That's some great individual prowess from Yusef, and he's joined by his teammate with the S12K. I got it right this time, Monica, to get the confirmation onto Milky Way. Frozen is hanging up towards the stairs. BC1 on the roof side. He gets a swivel on it, but the
hmm.
S12K can't hold him back any longer, and that's some great play by Team Falcons. I did say that they wouldn't, that Never Alone wouldn't be able to get involved until his teammate did something about it, and they did something about it.
Falcons is playing this right. Major Pride, like you said, keeps pushing the 1v1 and just keeps getting caught, as Falcons is the first team in this engagement to really, utilize their team members. They're pushing the 2v1, taking the safe fight and not just going for the RNG like, hey, can I win you or can I win this fight against one or two players? Now Falcons mobilizing together, three of them going against the one. Yen standing out in the open, actually waiting for them to come through as the UMP, but it is just not quite enough when you have three huge birds of prey all shooting down at him. So Major Pride, first one out of the lobby.
Not only a solid turnaround for Falcons in the fact that they were the first team out of to lose a player, and they still got, like I said, got the turnaround. But again, done in under 6 minutes is pretty good. It gives them a lot more
Yeah.
time to move into the southeastern edge of the circle. They have an open space because Triple E Sports have moved further in. We are seeing teams migrating up towards the north. And fair, Monica, we haven't really talked too much about this phase on circle.
We haven't. It's up on the northern side, right? And this is right into the hands of a team like Power, like R8, who go up in the Tapma, Cow area, and Paradise Resorts. Really big spreads and having a lot of control on the northern side. But yeah, in Sandhawk, though, you definitely want to get in the circle fast because it's really hard to rotate here. Unless you have the vehicles, which they don't spawn a lot, but it's hard to rotate on the open few hillsides where anybody could be hiding behind any of the rocks.
There's still a threat that it could end in the Northwest Islands. That's something that the teams will want to consider. Power kind of have a little bit of an entry point lockdown for it if they want to, at least in the early game, on a pretty confident 2-1-1 split, I would argue. And Yala, in their own right, have that coastline position to the north of boot camp well secured.
Well secured indeed, but Conquer, I mean, they're just coming on. But before we can get into that, it's Vista Gaming. Nassar on one side and Road to Glory on the other. And Vista, they went out first the last match after winning the match in Miro. So really just ping-ponging up and down the standings. Unsure when they can find their momentum to stay consistent here, but I think they're gonna catch a break here as Nassar rotates a little bit further away.
A few teams really to the south of Paradise Resort that need to be careful. RTG, Vista, Nasser. Team still inside the blue. That's Nigma Galaxy. They're actually the only team still inside the blue. Oh, no.
Yeah.
Falcons are there. My apologies.
Well, Falcons, they could be setting themselves up for a pretty good match, right? Because in previous matches where they and Major Pride stay out in Kampong for 15 plus minutes and finally somebody
Mm,
wins the fight that late, it's too late at that point to really come into the
yeah.
circle and have a good game. So here, able to do what we said, 6 minutes, you said, that they're able to clean it up. Now they can just proceed as usual and then come into the circle.
They could also still pull off a pretty solid kind of heel start, right? Or at least a plan B heel start. It seems like that's what they're maybe doing because they're still looting up inside the blue down to the south of Kampong, keeping Yusuf to the north of the buildings. Phase one blue zone is getting very close to the tail end. Skyrockets, they did lose a player early on to the 190th minute. They are back down to a they're down to a trio and they're moving in from the western side of that northwest island.
Circle coming in here. Everyone keeping their third eye onto the circle to see where it comes in. It's gonna come up on that northern side once again in Imperium. We have so much water in this circle. I'd say about 30% of this is unplayable. We see the teams that kind of committed on that northwestern side, not really having an entry on here. But I mean, if it's a time to rotate, it's a time now before someone can set up and camp the coastline and
Yeah.
prevent you from swimming in.
Yeah, exactly. It's gonna be quite tricky in that regard. I like Yala's position. They moved very swiftly throughout the early parts of the game, and it's amazing how much of a difference your game could go in the early parts when you don't have a team fighting for the same
Hmm.
compound. So Yala just kind of maybe make note of this game and how well it might go for you.
Yeah, Yala, I mean, they were gifted this game, right? Not having Geek teams figured it out on their own, right? Because Geek, they just went to the west. And if Yala was expecting them to drop in boot camp, all four of them would have dropped right into the midst of boot camp. But from the beginning, they
Yeah.
had two land in the middle, one up in the warehouses, and one on this hill. So they were aware that Geek was not coming here. I'm wondering if they figured it out maybe on their own. They're like, we're gonna 4v4 in boot camp. You can have boot camp, and then the other team will go somewhere else. So there's something to happen there.
It's also the fact that they don't know where Geek did drop. So even though you don't want to kind of fight in the same city with
Yeah.
another team, the fact that they don't know where Geek are is possibly going to be in the back of their minds, and that could technically bite them in the butt later on in the game as Vista play around the
Yeah.
south of Paradise Resort.
There's definitely only so many places that could have gone right. They're looking at, hey, where
True,
does Twisted
true.
Minds go? Where does 4K, Rad, and Curd 12 go?
Yeah.
So probably one of those four is where, I mean, obviously after this match, they will know once they start doing their homework and reviewing the bots and such. But yeah, as you said, right now in this immediate game, they don't know. But it has to be one of those four spots.
Interesting that Vista are going through Paradise. I'm never really a fan of it too much. I also don't really like the fact that alright are still hanging on to Paradise Resort too much, but they have two players to the north edge, so that's not too bad.
I think they're just in case the circle comes back onto Paradise Resorts, they have a foot still in their house, right? Just in case. But I mean, if I was the two from R8, yeah, and we have this. I mean, Bandar clearly knew they were coming on through. Do the shot through the door and at least stalls the push right now from Vista as one has been knocked.
Yeah, and you really need to send a full squad in around this area as well because Paradise Resort is the kind of place where it can easily go
Oh,
horribly wrong against you, and Vista lose another player down to just two, Trofka and Evo Station, if they can scale back, but I find it highly unlikely that they're going to be able to find a disengage in this area as SK Ton sends it in with a molly, and that's going to be the end of Vista Gaming. 0 eliminations. Once again, not a good game for them.
well, Vista actually, once their first player was knocked, it was the self-nade from Dino to turn things from
Oh,
bad
was
to
it?
even worse. So Vista, I mean, self-sabotage indeed, but maybe that iced game where they went out first in that last match, they just couldn't warm back up again for this Sandhawk match.
Oh, the circle shifts up north. Not only do we still have a little bit of the Northwest Island
Ooh.
in play, we have a hell of a lot of water as well. So that landmass is little to nothing. Teams have got to commit. I kind of gonna put you on the spot, Monica. Where is the circle gonna end? Is it gonna be on the mainland or the Northwest Island?
I'm gonna say mainland because I go for the safe option, the more realistic option. Whereas you're like, it's gonna go on the the military base island, or it's gonna go on to that wayward island over there. So I'm gonna say May Island.
You know what? I respect it,
Do
but
it.
also say, but
Oh,
anyway,
I'm the chicken.
yeah. No, I understand,
Oh
and
man,
honestly, I'd be in the
the
same
roast.
boat. I think it's going to finish in the mainland, and Conquerac seem to be of the same tune as they push it in towards the coastline area. But Power Esports do have, for the most part, their number. Aziz has gone down, but it seems that Conquerac have lost more players in the firefight.
This is power. They haven't really moved at all. They land in Tapmog and Cow, and they just come in up the hillside a little bit. So for them to be caught in the backside, they should always be keeping their minds there. But I mean, it's the grenades, Imperium, that are being so advantageous for the teams that use them.
Ooh, great play by Kante. He's supported by the rest of his team. Conquerac are trying to swing
Get 'em.
away. Rio is on the buggy. Can he get away? Yes, he can, but he's possibly going to walk into another team. No, he has made it into one of these buildings that is a safe haven as Yala and Nasser Esports are fighting for a compound in the center of the circle. It's going to be Yala to come out on top.
Enigma Galaxy 2 on the very southwestern side here. They've come up from the Sami area, right on behind Geeke, who it's only Gate left alive. So Geeke, I think this is they need a period of transition, right? They came from boot camp for the very first time drop here where Rad usually likes to go, and now are, still not very knowledgeable about where it is, but the only one. We got one underneath that does get knocked and flushed.
All right, now pushing in towards the warehouse of Top Mock and getting the better of the majority of the only one. Is just only one left from the only one, pun intended. Zayad on his own was a tractor and a pocket full of dreams around him. Tricks out of Molly, try and scale back the players of R8, but again, 3 against 1. It's a matter of time, and Zayad is able to find one. It's an isolated knock, confirms it, doesn't have time to get a first aid off, but in my opinion, damage done.
Damage is done indeed. He's just barely hanging in there as Vandar with the UMP just has him right where he wants him, just at 5 HP. And it's just a simple come around the corner, land your shot, just a couple of them, and able to take the only one out in 13th position. Skyrockets, though, they're up into that hot ting area right on behind Orito Thunders. And this one, it's going to come on in this time. Maybe we're going to decide who called it right, me or Imperium. And it's right down at the center one more time. I will say, it's a little bit more in the main island, though, Imperium.
It's a little bit. You gotta say, though, it could still end in the Northwest Island, right? The majority of the circle shifted away from the mainland. And Falcon Esports, by the way, went for the most 9,000 IQ crazy rotation on the boat of the coastline and have been able to get away with it for the time being. Ardu Thunder's holding on to the cliff's edge against Skyrockets.
Man, Skyrocket, why are they so split up, though? We saw 2 up on the coastline. I guess it was just, hey, we're going to literally divide and conquer. 2 of you go on the north side and be the distraction as easy now just slipped in on the opposite side of the city. I mean, I guess that's a choice, right? That's a choice, but his dog is hanging out. He didn't even pick up his dog to help him into the truck. So his dog is just going to be out there in the open, hopefully not got out by a Real Thunder.
Yeah, but all the dog hair will get on the truck, Monica. Like, and cleaning dog hair off truck seats. That's not easy.
The animal cruelty if they go for the dog. Although I'm actually now that I think about it, I don't think they can see the companion of your enemies though. So it's not just a dead giveaway of where you are.
Do you put your cat in your car?
When we go to the vet.
Wait, is it just in the car, or is it in a cage in the car?
It's in like a cage.
See, just, terrible. But anyway,
Why?
Obviously, I know, obviously that's perfectly normal. Anyway, this game goes on, and 90th minute holding on to the bridge inside the circle, but they do have RTG a little bit around them. RTG are swimming with the fishes. It seems Enigma
Yeah.
Galaxy are still on that northwest island, and Skyrockets and Ardu Thunders still locking down Hate.
90th minute, they have control of the bridge. They're the tolls, and they're requesting, a couple of dollars if you want to pass on here, but nobody has any money on them here because they're going to prevent anyone from coming in. Falcons, after that huge rotation, right next to that solo of Conquer, remember he made a huge eject, got into
Yeah.
these compounds, trying to survive as long as possible, but you have so many members of Falcons surrounding all the way around.
Do they know that he's there? It
I don't think
doesn't
so.
look like Rio has moved at all, and yeah, it is a matter of seconds because they're going to move from building to building, and they're doing it as you do it while Demar shoots towards
Ah.
Kante and the rest of Power Esports. And yeah, Rio's found out, he's
Oh!
exposed, he's taken out, and the next circle shifts down south.
Okay, so now it's come on the main island, so you can stuff it, Imperium, because it's come my way this time. But, I mean, the rest of them, that's really unfortunate for the likes of Burrito Thunder, for Enigma Galaxy, because they have to come across, not only, I mean, they can swim, I guess, but 90th minute is all set up on the top of this bridge,
Yeah.
and there's no easy crossing for them.
Oh yeah, unless Roof has like a load of meds, which I wouldn't be surprised as far as now he's normally the designated med holder for the team. Oh, unfortunately, he couldn't get a seat before we had a look at the replay of what Falcons did to the final player. There you go. Yeah, he doesn't even have a load of meds.
What they did, just so cruel to them. 90th minute, I mean, they are very sped on the bridge, so they do have some that are in the circle, but as they leave Jabal back here to watch as well, Enigma Galaxy, I mean, running out into the open, obviously there's somebody here because he got shot at him before. It's free elimination given to Jabal, but he at some point he needs to move as well, and the other teams already in the circle like Yala are going to be keeping their eyes on him.
That's true, that's true. Ardus Thunder swam across the water from Hating, and they are being greeted by Team Falcons. It's not a friendly greeting, though. It's in the form of a hail of bullets as they have to move out of the blue and into the northern edge of the circle themselves, where Power Esports are waiting on the underside of the black hole of the abyss inside this mainland wasteland. The circle shifts down south once again. Absolutely fantastic shift for 90th minute.
It's also fantastic for Yala because they have the only compound in this circle. Power, though, they're lobbing the utilities up above because they need a path into this circle, and they want to take out Falcons first to prevent anyone from shooting them on that right-hand side. But Power, they're pretty out in the open. They need to come down the hillside with not a lot of hard cover to have.
You're dead right about that one. Power Esports in the 2-1 split. There are a couple of players, by the way, healing in the blue. Ali, the final player of Triple Esports. Ida, the final player of R8, but I don't know how many meds the players have. Damar, in his own right, is looking for a little bit of a heal strat, so I appreciate that from Falcon Esports. I knew it was going to be a tough task, so they've gone for an alternative plan B heal strat.
Yeah, maybe 90th minute should have all come down the bridge a little bit earlier before Yala Yala was focusing on the northern side too. Now all they can see is that southern side, so all four of their eyes are on the bridge as Power now joining in, and oh man, they're just getting picked to pieces.
RTG, the bridge trolls, they didn't maybe look in the most comfortable position a couple of minutes ago, but the resilience is there. Call them Shrek if you want to, and they're gonna try and roar into another good result. 7 teams left, 13 players alive. Vault gets a pick on the Faker as he deals into the doorway. Great play by RTG as the circle does center up, and none of these remaining teams are inside the circle.
Not at all. I mean, the advantage is the 90th and Road to Glory right now because they have that. They're the closest, right? What this happens every single time. Enigma Galaxy, every single Sandhog.
Yeah.
I swear, we go back. They're always meting out.
I thought it was Roof, but it's freaked this game. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't realize that with Enigma Galaxy he was so far away from Roof at that point that I didn't realize that they still had a player up and healing in the blue. Don't know how many meds he has left because he's been healing for a long time. It looks like that was his last one.
Enigma it has to be a conscious strategy from the very start of Sandhawk. Hey, this player collect
I
as
know.
many first aids. It doesn't like that is literally their strategy for every single Sandhawk because they're not coming in guns a blazing. They're coming in with the idea to heal since the beginning.
Pmpl gets a push onto Power Esports, a double knockout.
Oh.
Yeah, to finish off Power Esports, and we are down to just 2 teams. There's none healing in the blue. This is Bygone v Bygone. This is 3v3. Yala have taken a bit of damage, but the first aid has been successfully executed onto Bumpa, so up to 75% health. Navo, in his own right, playing on the coastline, is knocked down by a safe nade, puts it down to 3v2 against
No.
RTG, and the final play comes through, the final shot, the final bullets, and a chicken dinner for Yala Esports.
Yala finally getting their piece of the cake and the $1,000 for their chicken dinner on Sandhawk. They came in from the compound, right? And at the very end, even though